Okay, this is a game between a student of mine who's playing white, and I thought it was instructive to demonstrate the importance of the pin. The notation says knight b3, but I know it's knight c3. Okay, so this is a popular opening for both sides. This is the Slav, and this is a very common position, and black generally does play d takes c4. And now the main line move is a4 to stop b5 because of b5. Sorry. It's losing a pawn, and so here black will generally play bishop f5, in which case white can then play knight e5 to pick up the pawn, or possibly even e3 is fine to capture the pawn with the bishop. But some lines, I think, are knight here, here, and I had a game that went in this position, and I played e3. So just, yeah, it's fine though to play e3 instead, which is what happened in the game. Now b5. a3, h6, bishop e2. The only thing is that white doesn't have as much compensation as they could have for the pawn. I think here, maybe it just would have made sense to play e4 and take the center, which I've had positions like this, which is a little more active. Sometimes you can play e5, and here possibly e5, knight d5, knight e4, or maybe a4. There's always a lot of games to look at from the database. So after e3, b5, a3, h6. h6 doesn't seem very useful right now. Bishop e2, bishop g4, castles, e6, rook e1. That's a good move, rook e1. Bishop to d6, e4. Wait, that's good. That threatens e5. Bishop c7. Bishop e3. That's a good move. Let's see what happens here. So knight e4 is a good response to that type of move, because when you have more space, which you seem to have on the Kingside, you want to avoid trades. That's a general rule of positional chess. Because if you avoid trades, then your opponent has more pieces on the board, and if black were able to trade off all four minor pieces, there would be much more room for their pieces to maneuver. But you can see black's kind of cramped here. Black has some space on the queen side, though, which is an advantage of being a pawn up and having this pawn chain. So, but bishop e3 is also a good move. Yeah, you've definitely improved. I'm not sure what the person's rated, but it looks like a good game so far. Okay, bishop a5, queen c2, great. The e4 pawn's hit, and you protect it. Bishop h5. Yeah, I think you have more than enough compensation in this. I mean, I think you have compensation in this position. Bishop h5, knight to d2. That's not bad. I like this move, rook d1. And one idea in these positions that are closed, where you have superior development, is to open up the position, because there's general rules that follow closed positions in chess, and open positions have different rules. And one rule of open positions is that there tend to be more tactics. One rule of closed positions is that you have more time to maneuver and the game's slower. But another rule of closed positions is that being completely developed isn't necessarily that important when you compare it to open positions, because in closed positions it's more important to be able to get your pieces to good squares. And it doesn't matter if it takes 5 or 10 moves, because nothing much is really happening, nothing's very urgent. In open positions, you want all your pieces to be developed immediately, because then you're going to find tactics. So in this position, rook d1 is an attempt to utilize that plan of opening up the position, because here you'd have completed your development. All your pieces are in reasonably good squares. Now let's say they castle here, which they should have done a while ago. Possibly d5. So let's say they try to win a pawn. That is an option, but it looks like you have a lot of pressure here. Oh, sorry. It's been a long day. I'm just looking at some moves. See, I don't know, but finally some tactic, but it's not very clear. I mean, let's see. See, d5 there was too early, but watch. I bet you if we prepare, we can make it work. So to prepare, we have to control the square a little better. I think this would be a good plan. This might be. I don't like this pin here. So maybe b4. And they kind of have to en passant, because if they go here, then I think you can play e5 and possibly have an outpost here for your knight on d6 protected, or bringing the knight to c5. You have a lot more space. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what is the computer like. Yeah, 95. I like that. That was interesting. So let's see. Takes. Okay, let's just see what the computer comes up with here. Queen c8. Yeah, b3. I was thinking to kind of start attacking some of these pawns. I like that now the knight's no longer pinned to the rook. Because, okay, a6. Yeah, white has a lot of good play here. Yeah, f3. I don't normally like to analyze with computers, but here you might see some of your possible plans. These are really complicated positions. I played e4, so you might like those better, because this game is really positional here. And so it's really hard to figure out what to do. But if that's the kind of positions you like to play, then keep it up. Okay, so knight d2. See, here I just wouldn't want to trade, because I like to keep my opponent cramped in positions where I have more space. Okay. Knight d2. Bishop g6. Okay. This is not a good move, I don't think. I like f3, because now this bishop's dead in its tracks. But bishop f3 is good too. Castle. Because like if f3, then these pieces are never going to put pressure. And it's just one idea. But you know, this bishop has not a lot to do right now, so. Okay, f3. Bishop f3, castles, b3. Great. Knight d5. Okay, yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, that's a really annoying move. Knight takes d5. C takes d5. Yeah, now they have a really interesting pawn structure that seems to have an advantage for them. B4, bishop c7, queen c3. Okay, I like that move because you want to push the pawn. Let me just see. What about if a4 trying to break up the pawns, and then if they take, one idea would be to attack the pawn like this. And at least you have some pressure, and this is a backwards pawn and an open file. That's another imbalance that you can learn about in the... I recommend that chapter. That's a really interesting chapter in the Selman Resize Your Chess book. Because so the rules of backwards pawns is generally you want to have your opponent's backwards pawns be on an open file. A backwards pawn is a pawn that has no pawns behind it that can defend it. And consequently, the square in front, um, is unprotected, and so it's a weakness in general. Sometimes you can get away with backwards pawns if there's more important factors on the position, such as the Kingside initiative. But sorry, here this doesn't work. Or yeah, now maybe Queen C3, and you're attacking here, so maybe. They don't want to necessarily take, because now they're gonna. This pawn is really weak too, and this knight's threatening a lot. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't seem like this can all be held up very well. And I like this move. Let's see. So we have takes. Actually, yeah, this move might work. So now if then we have takes. Now let's take a look at this. Take, loses a piece. So take, maybe here. Take here. It's still like really complicated, but I think you're winning. Let me see what the computer says real quick. Black's winning. Yeah, I'm totally wrong. Yeah, this is not good. So this line doesn't work. I think it's equal according to the computer. I don't know. I'm analyzing this too much anyway. Just skip over any of the boring analysis, but I'll get back to the game. Okay. But another idea behind this move was that if they can't play a6 because of the pin. So, okay. Queen c3, I like that move. Knight c6. E takes d5. E takes d5. G3. You seem to be playing a lot more patiently than I've seen before. Like, you seem to not be in such a rush to make something happen, which is good because it takes a lot of patience in these positions because the tactics are slow. That's kind of more the style of d4. Okay, a4, queen f6. Bishop takes d5. Cool. Okay. Yeah, a4 is great. Knight takes d4. Now you got to be careful here because black's threatening to win your queen. Rook a to c1, great. Okay, good job. Yeah, you definitely improved a ton. Rook a to d8. a5. Rook takes. Yeah. The only problem is that this does lose a pawn. I think they should take this way. No, this is right. Okay, this is pinned. Okay. Queen takes b6 would be a bad pin, so okay. h4. Let's see, what was the other options, right, after here? Could we play here? They still can't take. So yeah, I think this might have been a little better for you, because that way here, if they take the pawn, you can take, and then if they pin, I think you can go here. And now you're going to pick up this pawn too. So you can see, like, you want to reach positions where the pawn advantage doesn't matter, because you got to get the pawn back, and usually you can do that with activity. h4, knight f3, check. Sorry, knight takes f3, queen takes f3, king h2. Yeah, this is kind of an ideal position for black. Bishop e4. In terms of, you have yeah, another thing about positions like this, when you've pushed your g3 pawn, it's okay. That's usually fine to do, to fee and shadow the bishop. It happens all the time, but you have to remember that if your opponent still has their dark squared bishop, then you have to keep this bishop on the board if you want to guard the weak f3 and h3 squares. So generally, this is your best piece. First of all, it's got control of this long diagonal. In terms of minor pieces, it's your best one, and also because it's defending important squares. And here they can't play this because you have better control. So that was another thing about losing that piece. Was yeah. So one reason that it's important to have that bishop is because there's a mating pattern. One of the first ones you learn, where you put the, like, if there's this weakness with the g3 pawn pushed and the bishop isn't guarding the f3 and h3 squares, then if you can get, in a lot of positions, if the enemy side has their correct squared bishop, in this case the light squared bishop, they'll put the bishop here and the bishop on f3, the queen on h3, and then in general there's not much that can defend against checkmate. It's pretty forced because the rooks can't do anything, and it's hard usually to get the queen. You'd have to get it to f1, and usually to defend the g2 square, and usually you can't do that. So in a position like this, it's kind of black's ideal setup, because you have these weak g2, f3, h3 complex. It's not that I know more about chess since the last time. Sorry, it is that I've just learned a lot more about chess since the last time we've talked. So okay, it's like that Mark Twain quote. When I was 16, I thought my dad was an idiot. By the time I turned 21, I was shocked at how much he had learned in 5 years. Okay, so rook g1, rook c to d8. Yeah, see, this is kind of like one of the disadvantages of playing the Queen's Gambit and things, is sometimes they get this this like protected passed pawn, which you generally have to make use of the gambited pawn in the middle game and not let it get to endgame where you have no compensation in the form of piece activity. But that's it's really hard to learn how to play these. There's a lot of weird, funky lines and stuff. It took me a long time to even just like feel like I could play d4 without getting crushed each game. So okay, so rook f d8, rook g1, rook f to d8. Whoops. Bishop takes b6. Rook 8 to d7. That might be d7 or it could be d2. I think it would be d2 because oh, sorry. Nope, this one. Okay. Rook 8 to d7. Okay. queen to e1. Okay, so now this would be an excellent. Well, I don't know. I think I would feel more comfortable trading the queens because that would get rid of a lot of the potential. So here, I think a good move for black would have been rook here. Because in fact, this bishop is not attacking the rook very much. Well, let's see. So rook d3. If queen b2, then we have here, and queen here. Let's see what happens. Check, check, check. So forced. Check here, yeah, and we have checkmate.
Check.
So okay, so let's not go to b2. I just can't imagine that white is gonna survive here because in this position. Well, actually, I think there was a better move here. I think this move's better. And now it's really difficult because let's say you play here. Then we have this move, which is a mess. So here, the idea of this was to defend against rook d2 and rook takes, king. Bishop takes, queen takes, king h3, bishop f5, g4, and rook d3, which was the pattern we saw earlier. So now if we try to avoid that, then we have rook to d1, and, rook takes is met by checkmate. So also if queen takes, then we have queen takes, and rook takes again is checkmate. So we have to be careful here, and that's why I think trading the queens is probably the safest bet. Queen e1, bishop f5, g4. I have a funny story actually. That mating pattern with the bishop on like f3 and the queen here when the pawn's pushed, the queen on h3, or it also works with the queen on f3 and the bishop on h3. Once my freshman year of the nationals, I was in the unrated section for the high school nationals, and like round 4 or 5, I ended up placing first in that section. There was about 200 people in it, and like two of my teammates, or like actually three of my teammates from Niles North got in the top 25, and 2 of them got like, yeah, we got like 1, 2, 3. And then like 20, 23 or something. It was pretty good tournament. So I set up that checkmate, and then I put an exclaim on the move. And you shouldn't annotate your games, but I didn't know that was a rule. But, you're not allowed to do that during a tournament because it's like you're writing down your thoughts. But I wrote down exclaim because it was going to be checkmate. And then my opponent saw, and I think it was from Tennessee, from the area, and he looked at it, and he realized he was about to lose because it was going to be forced mate because he had traded off that bishop that was needed to defend his king, and I had that bishop that I needed to attack on those weakened squares. And so he looked at me and he said, "You big stinker." So that's yeah. I felt really bad after that. Just kidding. I didn't feel bad at all. Okay, so queen e1, bishop f5, g4. So what's the threat here? Is it queen g4 to h3? That looks pretty effective. So let's say you went here, queen g4, then you guarded, then they have this tactic again, and the rook's even, Man, there's just tactics for black all over. Okay, so what did you play? You played g4. This, I don't know. This is a really difficult position. Bishop takes g4, rook takes g4. Queen takes. Sorry, oh, I'm sorry, Queen A1. Yeah, now this is even worse, so now you kind of have to play this. Well, this is interesting, because now you have this kind of threat, but let's see.
Check. Check.
So, oh, I think it says Queen G5 check, but I'm sure it was here, because then it says here Queen H3 check resigns, because let's see, here we have check. Here, oh, sorry, that leads to mate. Oh, whoops, nope, the other one. Okay.
Check.
Yeah, okay, that's game. Let's see what else. The queen is lost.
Check.
Oh no, it's mate anyway.
Check.
Okay. Yeah, this is a good time to resign. Okay, so I think, honestly, I do think that your game is lost after you. Yeah, I think your game is lost after A5 because you're losing that bishop, which makes it very hard for. I think there's probably a forced win here after A5. So let's see. Takes. Let's just see if there's any other defenses that you had, because it's worth trying to defend. Okay, so right, so queen takes. I actually wanted to look at this. It's really not that easy to win, because if you trade off the rooks, then you have opposite colored bishops, which tend to be drawish in endgame. So it's not that clear where the win is, but it's still a game of chess here. But you're definitely fighting for the draw in this position. So anyway, let's just go after that. So, what if you went here? No, I guess you have to play here. Nope.
Check.
I don't like this at all.
Check.
Check. This is forced mate.
Check. Check.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think there's too much of an. Now maybe another option was here. Here. But now you can't take this because of check. And you can't take here because then you lose your rook. Yeah, I think this is kind of a tough opening, but I definitely recommend committing this A4 move to memory. There's other options too, like I think you can also fianchetto the bishop and not even like worry about it. But I'd recommend this main line, A4. Some of the other things, also if you want to avoid this altogether, E3 is perfectly fine too, because now the pawn's defended. But it's just important to remember that in this exact position, letting the pawn fall can lead to some complications. Like, there's also some other interesting lines which happen after something like, like here, 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 here. I think this is a line. Here, it's a really crazy variation. Here, here. I'm not sure. Like bishop b7. There's a lot of theory behind those, but those positions are pretty interesting. So yeah, no, you've definitely improved a ton. Great job, and I see you're focusing on like a lot more in the games these days. So keep up the good work.